Well, hello guys, welcome back. I had a strange series of dreams this morning. I think one was from the God in question from last night because, I went up to bed and it's a good time to talk to your gods actually. And they were like, they wanted to stay, they wanted to keep trying, and we were agreeing, but then it was like you could feel our energy wasn't working at all. And we were trying to get along and it wasn't working at all. We can get along for like micro flashes and really work well with each other's energy, and then it's gone and we're agitating each other just by being in the same room. So I figured, well, that's the end of that. And I had a dream this morning. It may or may not have been this god. I think they were like in a statue form, and it was a really beautiful statue of them, kind of a famous one, and I wasn't sure what that meant. I think I don't know. I'm not sure. It may have been a statue of them, may have been one they made up to represent something. I'm not sure. One of the arms was cut off. I don't know if they felt like I was like taking away their ability to work or what, but it was, we just weren't getting along, and it was sweet of them to try, but we were having a personality clash. And then I had another dream this morning. Sorry, allergies. I had another dream this morning, and I'm outside working in my garden, and my garden's like all garden, which it is not now. And Papa, Legba, and Baron were involved, because Baron's sitting on the porch, and I'm looking, and there's like pennies and dimes coming from everywhere, like just showering down, not hitting me or anything, but they just kept appearing. I kept finding more and more and more, and I turned to the Baron and I said, "Did you leave these for Papa Legba? Because if you left these as an offering, I'm not touching this stuff." And then he was gone, and there was only Papa Legba, because Papa Legba's statue was out there. And he was grumpy, which is not unusual with Papa Legba, but we get along because they're both grumpy and moody. I love it. And they were just showing me, I guess in their own way, they'll provide and everything, and that was their 2 cents on it. Now, there's some people that they just work with archetypes, which means they kind of sort of don't believe in the gods. They believe in energy, but I believe in our gods. And so it was Papa Legba and the Baron kind of saying, okay, we'll work with you on this. Now, I thought with the dimes and the pennies, I'm like, are you scolding me for something that it didn't work out? Or are you yelling at me? And Papa Legba is 95% bad mood, so I love him dearly. We all love him. But it was, I wasn't sure if he was mad at me or just generally in a bad mood. But I got the idea that he's saying he'll be here to protect, and Baron will be here to protect. Neither of them was angry at me for what happened, but the Baron was just sitting there on the porch looking all dapper and looking around and highly amused and just looking at me way too innocently, which means he has done something. And I'm like, what did you do? But I didn't ask him at the time, but now I'm thinking, what did he do? And Legba was there too. And remember, they're both tricksters. And the problem when you have multiple tricksters is they usually all have the same exact associations. Crossroads, dimes, graveyards, duh. You get confused and buried in it really fast, because there are some people that won't work with either Legba or Baron because they're either afraid of them or they say, well, they're same exact deity. That hasn't been my experience. I tried to show Legba the written word of where it said they were the same exact deity one time. He just looked at me and says, "You're pretty stupid for a girl." So that was his answer. And I know there are people in Santeria, they're like, he's so cranky, mean, and spirited. Why do you all work with him? We're like, because we love him. So if you work with Ishu, imagine if Ishu never had a sense of humor, ever. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he does play jokes on us. He can be loving and kind. He showed up in a dream once and he was smiling and happy to see me. I almost died because I thought he was taking me somewhere. But we love him. It's just his general mode is cranky, just so people know. He can be playful, he can be fun. But I actually worked Centuria first before I worked Voodoo, because they were all calling me like in all these different directions. So I think I get, like, sometimes it's actually a suit or somebody showing up, and it's like, I'm blessed, but, it was a strange dream, and I think they were just putting their 2 cents in, 'cause, you know, you don't get orphan gods, you get gods you don't work a long time with, but you don't really get orphan gods, so they were putting their 2 cents in. And as for this god, um, we've tried, and they have items around here, and every god was like, "You can have whatever you want, it's not a problem." And I kept trying to offer them things, and that was a warning flag for me. There's a difference between a god that's so humble and timid and meek and won't take anything, like in the case with Inari. Inari clearly did not want to cause any trouble or any extra burden on me, and that is just Inari's personality with me. But when a god keeps refusing, "Can I make you an altar? Can I do this for you? Can I get you an offering?" They would eat, but that was all they would do. I would say, "You need an altar, you need a place to crash land." I even made like a makeshift altar, but I don't think they were happy with it. I don't think they liked everything. And I've made them things and, you know, like little jars and stuff so that they would, you know, have a sense of place and have a sense of, "See, you belong here, look where you are." Um, and we just never gelled well. And it's not that either of us failed, it's just we would look really good on paper together, but in real life, we can't stand each other. It's like we love each other, but we can't stand each other. It's kind of like Elizabeth Taylor and probably almost anyone else that she's been married to. You can love each other very deeply, but you can't stand being in the same room for more than 5 minutes. We can be friends, see each other maybe every so often, but it's not going to be what I think this god thought it would be and what I thought it would be, where they would be coming in and almost being beside Loki. Loki has been trying, for you guys know, for like over a year to kind of get another god that where Loki would be one of my patrons. The other god would fit into a second socket. Not that you need more than one patron, and it's sometimes a bad idea, but Loki was like, he wanted to have a complementary energy and a complementary god. It's like Loki has these future plans to not abandon me or anything, but he wants to have another patron here, and we've had God step up and say, "Yeah, I'm her patron," and it never works out because I'm so trained by Loki to work with Loki at this point. I can't work with anybody else. I can work with Lysenta and all the gods that know me, I can, but they could never stand being my patron, and Legba has told me that to my face, so has Baron. They've just looked at me and said, "You're special kind of stupid, aren't you?" So yeah, it's like they love me and they'll care for me, but they don't want that responsibility. Only Loki has that responsibility. So yeah, it was a good dream, I think, because I was finding all these pennies and dimes, and they kept showing up, and they kept showing up, and they kept showing up. And it was just a wealth of them. It was almost like they were exploding up from the ground. And I'm looking at the Baron, and I'm looking at Legba, and they don't appear in dreams by mistake. And it wasn't just wishful thinking, because I had looked at Legba's statue, and I had talked to him last night, and I said, "I really wish I had more time to work with you," but it seems like because Legba's actually quiet with me, he has to kind of push ahead and try to get his time sometimes, because when you have so many gods you work with, sometimes it doesn't always work out. So I'll have to think of that one. I think it was just they were reassuring me that they'll be here, that I'll have wealth. I mean, it was like coming up from the ground. It was just appearing. It was, the more I was out in the garden, the more and more and more was showing up, and I was like gathering it all together. And even I think as I was gathering it together, that might have been increasing. I have no idea, but it was just, I knew I had to gather this up, all these pennies and dimes. So there you go. And they're both associated with Legba, and they're both associated with the Baron. And I don't know if it was a metaphor of, "We're returning everything you've ever given to us, like, here's the payout," or it was, "We'll always take care of you," or it was, "Wealth's gonna come from everywhere," or what it was. It felt like maybe a third god was involved, maybe. I don't know, maybe it was the god that was trying to stay and we just weren't getting along. But I don't think they would have Baron and Legba with them is a sign because it would be way too confusing because they all have the same associations. So, it was confusing, but it was a good dream. It was like Ligbo wasn't yelling at me and Baron wasn't yelling at me. They were just like, it kind of is what it is. So I don't know. But if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. I just kind of wanted to get that down before I forget it because I'll end up thinking of it, thinking of it, thinking of it, and I'll overthink it, and then I'll have like some totally strange answer. So I will see you guys later. Bye bye.